welcome to awesome FileMaker training at fmtrain.tv. And all of you are here, and some of you will be watching this on the recording. We greatly appreciate that. So today's conversation is going to be all new week. So if you go to fmtrain.tv, press the live button, you can see that we have an upcoming schedule where we've actually thought of things to talk about to help you learn about the FileMaker platform, okay? To make your platform go better, smoother, make you more effective, help you solve problems to be more valuable. And if you're valuable, your solution is valuable, people derive value from that. I think I said the word value 3 times in one sentence. You get the idea. Progression of learning, right? And so you've got people who are in business, they just want it to work. They don't necessarily care so much about what it is as long as it works and it's cost effective. Brand new developers, intermediate developers, senior developers. Most of the time we're training people operating between here and here, this kind of sweet spot, which most of us hang out in. Some of you might do more advanced things. I know Jesse sometimes has done API. Some of you have done API related things. When you're coding API and curl options, you're actually writing code. Even if you borrow the code from someone else, you steal the code, you're still using code. That's getting into kind of a more advanced skill sets, right? What we call senior ninja skill sets. But my goal is to make sure everyone is thoroughly educated on how to get to that spot. If you want to support the channel, as a reminder, this is my impromptu request that if you hang out a lot or you're watching the recordings, you want to appreciate the team, purchase one of the training bundles. That will be very helpful to keep the lights on here at fmtrain.tv. So today's conversation is about script inheritance, and it's kind of an interesting conversation because a lot of the things that we've been training on has been like small, like incremental learning moments. Like we spent time learning about relationships, and then Mike and a bunch of you are trying to get your heads wrapped around the relationship graph, like really what it is and what it was and what it wasn't. So some of you are come to the FileMaker world without a programming background. Most of us do. Some people have programming backgrounds or maybe SQL or other systems, like Ruben's there. If he shows up, he has that. And so so I have to do is train 2 different groups of people. One is people who don't know anything about really programming. The other group of people know programming, but they know it from a different perspective. And so I have to like kind of translate that, if that makes sense. So like if I climbed in a Russian helicopter, I could probably fly it, but someone would have to translate and tell me how it's different, right? If that makes sense. So it's fundamentally the same programming, but you need to know the little subtleties about what makes FileMaker different, and actually in a lot of ways makes it better, right? So the conversation is about scripts. I'm going to pop open this pages diagram because or this file here that I have. Hopefully it'll open. Basically, the short version is that script inheritance has to do with inheritance is a word for it, but the idea, if you have script A and you call script B, what are the considerations, right? It's a broader conversation, but we've already been talking. So the other day we talked about explicitly opening a FileMaker file, explicitly opening it versus implicitly opening it, which means it's implied, right? Explicit means you double click it, or you have a script that will that you will fire in that file, if that makes sense. You'll call a script in that file. So there's things that'll be explicitly open, and implicitly open is like if you have a relationship, right? File A has a relationship to file B, and for file A to see data from file B through the relationship, it has to kind of open it kind of in a hidden state. They're both open, but explicit, implicit. So that's one of those things that we've learned about previously. If we have questions, Margaret, and I'm not looking at Discord here. Yes.
I have a quick question about the explicit versus implicit file opening thing, just to double check my own understanding. That's when the window is like available versus the window being hidden in a little like under.
So if I open this A, it's over here. That's explicitly open on Mac. They'll be here. Implicitly open files, like if file A had a relationship to B and it needed it. So you could have a relationship to B, but if you're not showing any data on the screen here, it wouldn't like trigger it. But if I went to a layout where it had related data from file B, parent, child, relate, basic ID relationships, it would pop open that other file right here under show window, and it would be hiding under here, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So that's kind of that implicit opening. So it will open them, but when you explicitly open them, they run the startup script, okay? That makes sense? So that's where the startup script issue comes in.
Yes.
Okay, makes sense? So that is implicit, explicit. So if I have file A, okay, let's talk about file A versus file B. Let's talk about, well, let's just talk about file A to file A for right now. So file A, okay, if we define, so if I have script, if I have script 1 right here and I call script B right here. So here's define variable, and I can call begin process. And then over here, we could call this script here, could call this script here. So parent script, child script, and the idea is that when you're in the same file, is why I like to have, as a general rule, build databases as single files. If you're a more advanced developer and you can cite me reasons why you don't want it in a single file, just don't repeat what someone else said. If you actually understand what that means, then yeah, you should use more than one file, and there's reasons for that. Mostly to archive old data out of the way, things like that. I'm not a big fan of the data separation model. Some of you probably know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into it. It was an idea that was ported over from FileMaker from the world of big iron, big databases like Oracle and things like that. I'm not going to get into that because I think especially for a group of people who are like intermediate FileMaker developers, I think it's a bad idea to get into that because it's a complicated process of splitting data in one file and interface in another file. So the idea with data, I'll just explain to you really quick, data separation. If you have two files here, file A is the interface. All it has is graphical layout stuff, but there's no data in it, no table data. And then you connect A to B, and then in B is all the structured table data. So this file just has interface. The running idea with A to B like that is that you want to do a quick update, and so you update the interface to add some interface element, and you give everyone file A, and they put it on their server, right? They put file A on their server. They leave file B there, so I and B work together, right? So you update file A, you give them just A, it's a small file. The problem is that people always say, yeah, if you just go on blah, 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 and you don't have to worry about B. Almost every request I get from a customer has a data change in it, and which means that you have to change B and you have to change A, which means you have to update both of those, which is why Claris, we're trying to do the whole idea with the XML2, if you're familiar, the serialization of the code, and the idea and we should put that back into the live stream somewhere, as the data migration tool.
Yeah.
It's the bulk mover. It transfers data from file A to file B in seconds. But it's essentially a command line interface, so it's a lot of fun on that. We don't do it too often, but you would change A and B on your machine, then you would take A and B to a customer server, take their server, take the files offline, then do the data transfer in, say, 60 seconds or something with the command line, then put it back up. That's kind of the more modern, speedy way of doing this stuff, but it gets in this idea of deployment. Lifecycle management deployment. Rick Kalman at Claris is big on this right now. He's focusing on this. I really think it's an important thing that Claris needs to manage, because if they can make lifecycle management and deployment easier, then that makes our lives better. Right now, the only way to do easy lifecycle management and deployment is either to spend a lot of money on the auto product from Proofgeist, or spend some money on the 360works deploy product, which is the one that my team will use sometimes. And that way we work on a local copy A and B. And when you're done, you go into the 360 product, or I guess you go into auto. I've not used their product. I just know it's not cheap. And what ends up happening is that you give it the new samples, and you press a button, and it goes to all the FileMaker servers. If you have 5 or 10 customers using it, it goes to each of those servers and updates their solution. Right. So if Scott Kane is doing vertical market solution, then that's how he would support 5 or 10 customers simultaneously. Plus, what's cool about it is if somehow you detect that there's a problem, like this unknown bug, and now it's really bad bug, and everyone wants to roll back, these things will allow a rollback, right? And it doesn't lose the data. So it takes the data and does a reverse migration backwards of version. You could roll backwards automatically without you going through all the process of hand aligning the imports and everything like that. Just so the deployment in the world of FileMaker it's always been a thing in software. It's always been the Achilles heel of the FileMaker platform. I'm not going to say, yeah, it's the most amazing thing ever, and it works 100% of the time on every solution. I'm going to tell you where it works well, where it doesn't, where it can be improved, and the lifecycle management / data deployment idea of deploying new versions easily is an area that Claris is aware of, and they are working on it. So let's talk about the script inheritance. So file A calls file B. The bottom line is that, or file A calls another script in file A. If you define a global field in file A, so we're in file A and you define a global field over in here, okay? That global field is accessible anywhere in file A, even if you're not on the layout. So if you define it in table, in file A, table contacts, and then you're in the invoices table, it's a global field, you can still access it without going through a relationship to get it, right? It just works. That's great. Variables are the same way. A global variable in file A is accessible anywhere in file A. Global variables don't transfer from file to file. Local variables only run during the, I want to say commission of a crime. I was going to call commission of a script. The script is running, which might be a crime. The idea that the script is running, so you define local variables. When that script is over, the local variables are dumped out of memory. So one of the things that comes in is as you call script A to script B, what gets transferred? If you're within one file, let's say A to A, and we're on a layout. So here's a layout over here. Doesn't matter. We have a layout that we're on. When we're on a layout, that confers a context. Okay, and so if we are on the same layout, okay, so we're on file here on A, then we call file B, we're still on the same layout. That means that script inherits the context of that layout. Okay. Now, if you say perform script and somehow you spawn a new window to a different layout or something like that, then you may lose that context. So you have to think about, whenever scripts don't work, you always have to go back and think about why they didn't work. Like I would say 75% of the time, like I would say, if you try to run a script today, so a bunch of you write scripts today, and you try to run the script, if you have an error, which odds are it'll be an error, 75% of those errors, I would say, based on my experience, will be context errors. Right? Now, maybe you don't know how to do something, then you're trying to beat your head against the wall to figure that out. But say you actually know how to set a field and set data and go to this layout and create a new record and do some things. If it doesn't work and you fundamentally understand FileMaker, odds are you've lost track of your context somehow. That's why stepping through the script with a script debugger is so useful. Margaret over here would work on big value aviation. She'd write a script and she'd be so tempted just to fire that thing in the blind and let it go, hoping it worked. But the safe thing to do, especially with a live system, is to step through it slowly and watch it step through with the script debugger. We've done that a number of times. We'll probably do it today momentarily. So if you call script that you're within file A and you go to the same layout or same window, it will confer the context, okay? The local variables don't transfer. Local variables are specific to that script. And so if I'm in file here and I define some local variables here, like I define cat food over here, right? And I want to call script over here, the local variables don't come across. If you're calling script A to script B, then nothing transfers across. So script A calls a script in file B, okay? Nothing transfers across except the script parameter. So what is the script parameter? Remember the Post-it note? I don't have a ball here anywhere, but a Post-it note that you put on a football. So I'm a professional quarterback, and he wants to throw the ball down the field to Taylor Swift's boyfriend, okay? Doesn't matter what his name is. Everyone knows him as Taylor Swift's boyfriend, okay? And so Patrick Mahomes writes up a little Post-it note on there and says, dear Taylor Swift's boyfriend, you want to go out for drinks after the game. Just bail on Taylor. Writes that on the Post-it note, and it tapes on the Post-it note because it's sticky Post-it note, throws the ball. So script A, Patrick Mahomes is throwing the ball, throwing the focus, calling the script, which is Taylor Swift's boyfriend. He catches the ball, and first thing he does is reads the note. He doesn't run down the field, he should, but he's going to stop where he's at, catches it, and reads the note. Okay, that is the script parameter. It's a single block of text. Whatever you can fit on a Post-it note or on a piece of paper up to 32,000 characters or whatever it supports, there's some practical limit in there. So the trick is, if you're going from within a file, basically everything transfers except the local variables. If you're going file A to file B, nothing transfers except the script parameters. So Thanks to Kyle Williams, one of the people who come on the show once in a while and shows us great things. This has been done by other people different ways, but the idea is that to transfer, to inherit, like I have in my last will and testament, I gift my rescue cats and all their mayhem and problems to my daughter. Okay. Oh, I don't want that inheritance. Screw that. Dying pissed off kitty cats who all want constant attention and they clean the litter box. It's a lot of work. So we're not going to gift the rescue cats, but if you wrote a last will and testament, you could put it in the script on that post-it note and send it across. So the idea is that you can inherit other things if you can find a way of shoving it onto the post-it note on the script parameter. When you first do FileMaker, people put like a single string of text in there. Then they realize they want to put 2 strings of text in there. So this is the progression of learning. Once again, you're a brand new developer and you just call script A to script B and you're like totally happy. It kind of halfway worked at all. So this would be the script parameter. And most people say, oh, I have the value of a field and it's going to be the ID of something and it's going to be 57831 whatever. They pass that. Then they go, well, I needed that ID that I passed, but I also need this other thing. So then what they do is they'll put like a vertical pipe and then they'll put this other thing in there. Okay. And then like, well, that's 2 values. Then we can do another value. So then they go, well, vertical pipes, so you do the vertical pipe, you could get, and so when you receive this, the first thing you do on the receiving side is parse those into 3 fields or 3 variables or something. And then people get more sophisticated. They go, oh, well, I don't want vertical pipes. I'm a professional developer. I'm going to set that up as a value list. So then you have value 1, value 2, value 3. And Margaret and I have done this before. This is kind of the poor man's quickie transfer. So because there's a get function called get value, I believe, right? There's get value. And you could come down here and you could write a get function that says get value and then target value 1 or value 2 or value 3. Okay. So then you go, well, this is the data I have to do. Those are all different values. So you got 20 fields of data that you want to transfer across. God, what a pain in the ass to try to code all that. It would be better if Kyle Williams had written us a custom function that would magically do it. And so, of course, you're like, well, that's so amazing because Kyle Williams did that for us. And other developers have done this. It's not like Kyle cured cancer, but his custom function works really well. And so we're going to go through that right now. So we understand why we're doing this, Margaret. We're transferring a post-it note. We're going to put a bunch of structured data on a post-it note and have it spawn variables on the other side.
Yes, I have a question that maybe, hopefully this doesn't derail. Something that you hammered into my head recently is that when you click on like a record or you exit a record into a script, like on a record in a portal row, the script remembers what record you're on.
In the portal row. Yeah, it remembers your context there. Yes.
And that won't pass on when you attempt to run a subscript at all.
Well, if you're on the same file and you haven't gone anywhere, yeah, you're still in that spot.
Okay, so it does remember that spot that you're in.
I'm telling you that if you're on the same layout, so you're on, okay, back up.
Yes.
We're in file A, and we're in file A, and this is script A, script B, right? And if we're on this layout, we're in a spot right here. Let me create a record. Oh, that's an image. And I'm putting data in here, and I call script A, okay? And if I don't change the focus or anything, then I call script B. Script B will still know it's here on this layout, okay? That's the whole idea with scripts. When you run a script, okay, here's the deal. Here's a fundamental of life number 38. For those of you who remember the rules of the life, like Ferengi rules of acquisition, rule life 38 in FileMaker, is that a script, when it's running, always has a context somewhere. It's not contextless.
Got it. Okay.
Listen, if you're in FileMaker, okay, back up. If you
so
open
what's the default context then?
Okay, let's talk. This is such a good conversation, and we'll eventually get to this subscript here. But think about this: if you open a FileMaker, if you open an FMP12 file, by definition, as Pro, Go, or WebDirect, if you open an FMP12 file, in order to run a script in it, you have to open it. In order to open it, it's going to open the file and determine the starting layout it's going to go to. And it's going to go to that and load that layout, which means it's also going to load a starting record, whatever record that is, Probably, if you don't specify anything, it's going to go to the very first layout you ever created, or the last layout the user was on. I could get into that. Doesn't matter. The point is, it's always a layout will always be active. And if there's no records in a table, you're still going to be on that layout, but you'll have no records or a found set of 0. So when a script runs, in order to run a script, you had to open the file. And in opening the file, it's going to go pop at least one window and go to one layout on that window, okay? Which may or may not have a found set. There may be no records in the table. There might be a million records in the table. So when a script runs, if you walk that logical backwards, there must be a context. There has to be a context. It cannot run contextless. Now, you might not know what the context is. You not knowing what it is, I understand that. Like if you tell FileMakers, say like Jesse was learning about FileMaker running script on server. Well, you're telling basically an invisible copy of FileMaker Pro that you graphically can't see to run a script. What is it going to do? FileMaker server goes to the little invisible copy of FileMaker Pro and says, hey, Willie, come over here. Yeah, I want you to open this file up and run this script because Margaret said so, okay? And if Willie goes, okay, what's the username, password, and what script, okay? And so Willie opens the file, and immediately upon opening the file with the username, password, a layout will be loaded. Willie's got the layout loaded. And then Willie goes, okay, I'm ready to run the script. Oh, here's the script you gave me. Then it runs it. So there's always a context. There's never not a context. Does that make sense? You may not know what it is. You may have lost track of it. You may have thought you were on layout A and layout B and you had a different found set, but there's always a context. It's always there. Does that make sense, Margaret? You cannot run a script without having a window that's been, even if you can't see the window, you cannot run a script in FileMaker without there being a window somewhere attached to a layout somewhere. I guess technically you could have a window that was attached to a layout and the layout was deleted, or not the layout was deleted, but the underscoring table occurrence was deleted. But you're still in a window, you're still on a layout, and there may not be structure, table, like you delete the underlying table occurrence, the layout's still there. So so your context is a window that's not connected to anything because it's broke. It doesn't change the fact that it's still there. It exists. So when you write scripts, this is back to the mechanics of writing scripts, is that all you have to do to write a script is think about telling your best friend's daughter's friend's brother's roommate how to open the window, click here, copy the data, go over here, create a new record, paste that data into this field, pop a new window, close a window, whatever. If you can say those things, imagining that you're telling your friends, best rooms, roommates, brother-in-law how to do that, as long as you can write those steps out, at least verbalize them, you can write them in a script, which means you can write a script to do anything.
That makes a lot more sense.
So it's a fundamental concept that the script will never not have context, so you can tell it, go to this layout, go here, go to this record, go here, print, save as a PDF, do anything, copy call a monkey bread, script that does a monkey bread function. So there's always context. So when I'm here and I call this in file A, it's gonna come over here. Remember, the script parameter is a block of text. Okay. Now in this one over here, I'm gonna come over here and look at what the block of text is. You're like, oh my God, this whole thing is a block of text. It could have been doggy 55. That was the text we're gonna pass across, and it's a string, so it has to go in quotes, right? That works. So when we run it, doggy 55 runs. However, then we had that whole conversation where then you have another value and you use a pipe, and then you have values and value lists, and then you realize that you need, as a more robust developer, you need something better. And it's this progression of learning. So as you get past the intermediate stage and you want to be like, well, it seems to me there should be a smarter way. Don't work harder, work smarter, that whole thing, right? Well, this is the smarter part. So what I would do is this sample file, don't worry, this is a JSON array. Array means it's basically value key pair kind of thing. This is the item, this is its value. This is the item, this is its value. This is the item. So we're going to send all this through in the block of text. It means nothing to FileMaker directly. On the other side, an automatic custom function is going to take each of these items and turn them into local variables, and then take that value and stick it in there. So it's going to create variable, 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 and all you have to do is load this in here and then recycle this whenever you want to and change the values. These are a bunch of get functions, but you could have real data over here. So it's going to create a variable called affected BVA work order. But then it had a field on it, but I just said the lazy fox. So the smart brown fox jumped over the fence. So the worthless fox needed therapy, or the star fox was a Hollywood whatever. And so this is the text. So this is what the script parameter is. So this is the high-end work smarter, not harder thing. I'm going to hit OK. Save it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this over here. I'm over here in this. I'm going to close the script. I'm in here. I'm going to pop the script debugger. I'm going to put this over here. Script debugger up here, and then what we want to see is the data viewer right below, okay? And so most of you can guess what's going to happen. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to say, run this script right here. So we're in file A. We're going to stay in file A, okay, for the moment. And it's going to set the nuclear launch codes to 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a global variable. Then there's a local variable, cat food equals meow mix, okay? I come down here. I got cat food and whatever else, right? Meow mix, okay? Global variable, local variable. Now, if I jump to this other script, I'm going to lose $cat food is local. $, nuclear codes will stay until we either clear it or we close this FMP12 file. This is specific to the FMP12 file. This is specific to this script, right? The FMP12 file and this session. So if I close, right, or I jump to a file B or file C, that this one's not going to come across. So I was stepping down. I'm going to step down one more. It's going to run this subscript, and then so it ran it with a script parameter. It ran it with a script parameter, okay? And right here, it's going to say set variables, $variables, and then it's going to run this function called, it's a custom function called JSON get elements as variables. This is a Kyle Williams special sauce. It's a script, but all it's going to do is take that entire script, the JSON array, and immediately turn into a bunch of variables. So it just ran, and I got a pause right here. Why did I put a pause right here and not just let the script finish? Margaret?
I'm thinking. So we can actually, it's a local variable, right? So we can actually see the variables
there you
exist.
go. I ran this about 30 minutes ago and wondered why nothing came up, because it created the variables and then it got to the end of the script and the script was over, they go away. So if I step down one more, oh, hang on. Okay, so the only thing we're left with was the global variable. Now this script works really great between files too. So you could transfer a whole bunch of variables from file A to file B. It's awesome. I love it. Questions?
I have a question from David A about the implicit open from earlier.
Yes.
It'll be a little bit of a derail.
Okay.
Does implicitly opening a file consume a user? I assume he means like a license?
No, because it's not tracking when you implicit openly. So when you have all right, let me go into this real quick. This is a good question. I'm going to go into here. I'm going to go to my FileMaker server. I'm going to say dbw02 admin consoles. We'll log in here. I'm going to put this in. So this is one right here. Say that we have, so I have one total connection, right? As a reminder, if I go to database over here, I say all, it shows that Richard Carlton has one user and I have one file open. I could have all 29 files open, but I would still be one user. Whether it's explicitly opened or implicitly opened, there's no restriction on the number of files I can open, unless the files, the limit on FileMaker used to be 125 files. If you have 125 files, you need therapy. I'm available to therapy for you. Well, it's not that you don't have 125 files. You have 125 files that you feel compelled to open at one time. And I think they've increased the number to 250, which is just like saying, hey, I'm sorry you're an alcoholic, but here's a couple cases of beer for you because we know you can't stop. Okay.
We should ask Jacob how many he has open at one time.
Well, it's not so much having them open at one time because they're different solutions for him. If you have one solution, right? When I say keep everything in one file, and you're like, no, Richard, I'm gonna. Back in the old days, prior to FileMaker 7, every table was a file. So FM starting point, a CRM, had 25 tables. It would have 25 FMP12 files all shoved in a directory. Yeah, you don't know about that, Margaret. That was about the time you were born. They changed that.
That's interesting.
Well, so as you add open files up, that has nothing to do with you burning a connection. If you say you have a 5-pack of FileMaker server for 5 users, and then you have you're opening it up, and Fred's opening it up, and Sally and Mohammed and Wendell and whoever else opens it up, then you'll see their names come up here. Depending upon your license and setup, it might say, no, you're not allowed to open anymore, or it might let you get away with that a little bit. But Claris, I'm telling you, is watching that. And if they think that excessive thievery is going on, whatever the word excessive means, and that's somewhat subjective, they will issue instructions for your server to shut down, and then for you to reach out to them to come into compliance, right? The highway patrol pulls you over. Sorry, sir, you have a 5-pack, but you've got 55 people using it, or something like that. Now, some of the license keys, you have a 5-pack that won't let you go above 5, right? Depends on how the license is set up. So, but if you're like, we have one person who has a 1 copy, and they are a 5-pack of server, and they have 168 people who are opening it up and using it. I'm like, I told Claris, just shut them off. And then if they cry about it, then they can, I mean, listen, I'm not going to lose sleep over 2 or 3 or 4 people, okay? I mean, okay? But when you're Grand Theft Auto and you stole the whole damn building, then yeah, then you probably should think about how to relicense that in a slightly more honest way. It's not like I'm not opposed to getting a good deal. Come see us and we'll give you a good deal. Beg and plead, whine and cry, we'll find a good way to save money. But you have to make an effort was made, right? When you buy 5-pack and you have 168 people using it, no effort was made. Okay, so questions?
We're good. Hopefully,
my last JSON and testament, Jesse, very clever. Jesse's so smart. So that's the idea of script inheritance. So script A calls script B. So let's. So Jesse, you ready for open Q&A? We're going to test you, right? Jesse, report ready. I'm looking at the cursor. Let's, in fact, we'll go over to Discord over here. Report. Hello. Okay, report. You're focused and ready to answer questions. We're going to have a certification test right now. Okay. If file A, and these are going to be short answers. If file A calls a script in file B and file B is not open, yes. I'm Ricky Hot Air Balloon Kindle just straight away. So file A calls a subscript in file B. File B is not open. A file B will be opened. How will it be opened? Does the script in A prompt it to open it? I don't work with multiple files. See, okay. So if file A opens calls a script in file B, it will explicitly open the file. It will explicitly open the file. Okay, very, very important. No, you're fine. I'm just saying I want it to be more interactive. I'm testing the people. Like, we can always pick on Canberra or David Angel, right? Who else wants to be answer questions? It's not
Jesse question related. Does it need to be a script step to do that?
Oh yeah, well, we did it right here. Okay, back up. Let me get rid of this briefly here. So if I'm over here in the script workspace, and I'm going to keep moving the Zoom windows. I'm going to get rid of these. I don't need these right now. You're going to call it right here. You say, okay, if I say perform script, okay, it helps if you spell it correctly, perform script. And then you're going to target the script by name or by list, excuse me. And then you're going to click on that. You're going to say, run the script from file A, and you can pick the scripts in file A, or you can add an external FileMaker data source. Here we go. I'm going to go and do this. And on the desktop was this. Nope. Let me go back. I want to go dynamic data source. Here's B. Open B and just say yes to authorize it. Trust me on that. So then you're in file B. I could call a script in file A or a file B, right? So it works the same way. It works the same way. The difference is when a script is running in B, a window from B will be popped up. And when a window from B pops up, it runs the startup script for B. I don't like using multiple files either, Jesse. I'm just trying to train everyone. I prefer everything in one file unless you have a reason for that. So I agree with what Jesse says. It's simpler that way, okay? Anyway, let me get rid of that real quick. So Jesse, we're okay. I'm not picking on you in any way. I'm just trying to have more of a little interaction here with the audience. All right, so we're trying audience interaction. Sassy comment from Code to Go: just because it fits 17 people and it doesn't mean you're licensed for that use. Well, Volkswagen probably doesn't care, but the local law enforcement may insist seatbelts for every of the 17 people. So just keep that in mind. So you can't run a subscript from FileMaker. No, you absolutely can. You absolutely can, David. You can do that. The conversation today is if you call a parent script calls a child script, if you're in the same file, you get more inheritance. You automatically get the global variables if you have any. You get access to global fields if you have any of those set up. But if you call from file A to file B, it's a parent script to subscript. All you get is the script parameter, the text note that's on the football from Patrick Mahomes to Taylor Swift's boyfriend. That's all you get. You get that block of text. That's why we use the JSON array with a custom function to have it auto-defined and create all the little local variables that we needed, right? If you have questions, now's the time to ask about these, right?
I have questions.
Then I'm trying to, Margaret, you always have access to me even after the show's over. But I'm just trying to go ahead. Ask your question, Margaret.
Things like allow user abort off or on and script error capture, does that pass between scripts?
I would assume not. I would want to read up on it. I always set them on each script with if there's a process that's busy, like it's going to take any time, I always set that. Error capture on. I don't know if that inherits. We'd have to test for that. Actually, we could test for that pretty easily. So let's go ahead and I'm going to minimize this. Let's go here. So I got file A there. See, explicitly open. Remember? Explicitly open. See, it's file B right here. Okay, it explicitly opened. I don't see it. Where'd it go? Oh, it's hiding down here. Excuse me. There's B. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into script workspace for this file. Okay, so once again, if you're in script workspace, the script workspace is specific to each file, right? So I'm going to say, I'll just call the script. It'll be named something kind of snuggly and cute. That's easy. Called, it's being stupid. I'm trying to edit this script and it's being dumb. There it goes. Script in B. Really great name for it. Okay. So what were we thinking about that? What was the question again, Margaret? Why were we doing this?
Allow user abort off.
Yes. Set enter find mode. Okay. Pause is off. Set field target field, set title to Fred, which won't be anything real. It'll fail. Okay. I hit OK. Remember, error capture on just means it's not really captured. The errors are always captured. Errors are always captured. It's slightly mislabeled. Okay. And you can test for them. Okay. What set error capture on really means is suppress the user-facing automatic errors. So it should say suppress default FileMaker errors is what it should say. Okay. Perform find. So if error capture is on, it won't throw a dialog. If error capture is off, it'll throw a dialog. Okay, so now we're going to come over to A. Script over here. I'm back on script work. So we have script workspace A open and script workspace B open. This is, once again, this is why having it in one file is like so much nicer for most things. Okay, I'm going to call it test for error capture inheritance. Probably horribly misspelled. Okay, so I'm going to say perform script, not on server. Perform script. First one, hit return key. I'm going to say unknown. I'm going to go not in file A. I want file B. And I'm going to call, it says new script here. Why is it called new script? Because over here I haven't saved it. Little star, as soon as I save it, the name will be saved. Save. Okay, come back over here. Try it again. File B. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Now right here, I'm going to say set well, let's just leave it off for now, okay? It will fail. The other thing is when I defined it to run from B, it automatically defined an external data source in A. So here it is, file B. So A has an external data source so it can talk to B. B doesn't have an external data source back to A. Just keep that in mind. And it's like, this is getting complicated. That's why single files are good. But everything I'm doing here is a relevant test. Even if you're staying in one file and your parent script calls a child script, it's all relevant. This is the same. If this doesn't work here or works here, whatever the behavior is, it'll be the same in the same file in a single file. So I'm going to run this over here, and it's going to perform attempt to perform. I'm going to save. I'm going to come back to test for inheritance. That should be at the bottom. I'm going to just insert a line there. Okay, here's this one. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, now there's the error. Okay, now I'm going to say set, set error. Let me see, set error capture on. Save. Okay, now we're going to try it again. If it inherits it, it's not going to give me an error message. It probably should just do a find of no records in the found set. Just for fun, this is A, here's B, and we have Dick and Wilma. Okay, there's Dick and Wilma and whatever. So there's 2 people, but none of them are Fred. Okay, right? Over here, 1, 2, 3. Ooh, it inherited the set field. That's why I always set them, because I don't trust it. But it inherited the, and you could also do like set, like you could set, let's do a loop. Okay, this would be fun. And end loop. And so you're like, what kind of loop is this? This is an indefinite loop that will forever run forever and forever and forever and forever. Okay, right? Yes.
Yes.
So now I'm going to try to run it, but I'm not. And by default, allow user abort is on, I think, for the most part. So I'm going to run it now. Yeah, it's spinning. So if I hit Command period and I hold it down, it stopped. Okay, it did stop. So the spinny ball stopped. Now, if I say on file A, I said error capture on, allow user abort off. Now, this will probably have an infinite loop with a user abort off. So now this is a good one. So now you're in an infinite loop that's going to spin until the dawn of time, until dinosaurs rule the earth again someday, right? Hit play. It's spinning. Okay, it's spinning, it's going indefinite loops. Command period, hold it down, hold it down, hold it down. It's not working. I'm holding it down, Command period. So now, if you have an indefinite, forever loop. By the way, this is how Nick blew up a server one time. He started something like this going on PSOS, and then he got distracted, and it went wild, and it generated 68 or 70 gigs of data, like how many billion records or something, right? And then then the server shook, it quivered, and fell over, right? So anyway, so if I want to stop it, I can try to come up here to tools. I'm trying to click on tools. Now I'm an administrator and I have the tools menu enabled. So if I hit script debugger, can I abort? So now I've stopped it. So I've invoked the script debugger while it was in an infinite loop, because if I just step through here, it's just going in loops. Right here it is. Notice it's finding the 401 error, but it's suppressing the dialogue. Hit stop.
Cool. That passes on. I was not aware that was saying. I didn't figure it would be inherited.
Yeah, but I would always set it because you might not remember how it was. And there's no penalty to calling it twice.
Oh no, I didn't. I'm not going to set it, but I was curious as to what information gets like passed along the little.
Error capture gets passed, but remember from file A to file B. So what is so we're on this layout right here. Okay, we're on this layout right here. I'm going to close that, close that, close that, close that. Here's B over here. Here's close that. Let me go back to A. Sorry, my bad. Give me 2 seconds. This is very important. So I'm running a script in A, and this is my context. Then I say run script in B. What is the context? Remember I said what's the context? It's always a window. What window? It's B.
Mm-hmm.
Now, well, but I thought you said that it would keep the layout and the context if your subscript is in the same file.
Oh, so when it opens B, it's just going to default whatever the first layout created was, whatever the startup
Whatever
script
the
will
layout
do?
was or is, or what was left there by Fred. That's why most of your scripts, you should be explicit and tell it where to go and what to do.
Because it's not just going to magically know.
It might, like, for example, when you're in A and you call B an A, you can pretty much assume that the context is here. And if you were just doing something in this B over here, and you're in the same script, like it's like a big script with, it calls a subscript, then comes back to A, then does some stuff, then it calls it again. Here's the other thing with the script execution. What is the pattern of execution here? Okay. Would you like to walk me through how that works? This is a subtle one too. This is another good one. So if I'm in A, that's B, and let me bring up the script workspace for A. So here's A, here's B. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We start a script over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, so we run A, so we call B here, okay? So let's just walk through this. And over here, I'm going to bring up this script so you can see both scripts, okay? So let's say exit loop if get last error equals 401. That's a find that fails as a 401 error code, okay? So I'm going to call this, and then it's going to come over here. Okay, so let's just step through this. I want you to simulate in your head, Margaret, and verbalize to me. So we'll start here. We run here, we run here, we run here, we run here. Now where are we going to go? We're going to go over here, yes, to B,
Yes, we're going to file B.
We're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to come down here. It's going to exit loop right here. Now what happens?
I want to say that it defaults back to A, but it could just abandon you in B in the middle of a wasteland where you have no idea where you are.
It's both. If what it does, it comes to here and it's going to be like, hey, I'm ready for line 11. There is no line 11. All right, well, go backwards. Is there anything for me to do backwards? No, there's no line 6. Stop dead right here on B.
Oh, wait, so it goes back and checks and then comes back?
No, it keeps going. It's a subscript. It's not a halt and go forever. What if I want to say beep, bleep, beep? How about show custom dialog? Jesse is the same as me. Uses, I can't type, uses one file. Okay, great. Okay or cancel. It's great. It's awesome. Okay, so now it's going to go there. It's going to get to 11. It's going to go, hey, is there anything still to run? Oh, yes. So it's going to wind itself backwards and continue. Back to 6 and keep going. Yes?
Yes.
I mean, I can do it for you if you want to do that. I'll just hit play.
Yeah, I would like to see it. Yep.
Save all changes. So you did it so fast, it went there and came back.
Okay, so
now say that you're saying, well, if the day name, what's the day's date? Today's date is get
the
current date. If it equals, today is Monday, right?
Yes.
Day name. This is day name. Today's Monday. If it equals Monday, then why is it mad at me? Oh, sorry.
You need an extra schlingy. There you go.
I did extra.
Wait.
No, that's wrong. No. I screwed that up. That's not correct.
Wait, hold on. How many thingies are there? Well, those two match.
Yeah, there you go. So
oh, okay.
So it's gonna, if I get this function right here real quick and I go to data viewer, I can't see it. I'm gonna hit OK. How about data viewer now? Data viewer. And I do watch. And I say add. Today's date, the name of the day is Monday. Right? So if today is Monday, then we can exit the script. What does this do? Not exit script.
Well, it's got the result, right? So won't it send the result back to the file A?
Yeah, it's going to exits the script. What if I do a halt script?
You're just going to stop dead in file B, right?
Correct. Those are both correct. Okay, there's a question. What if you have the file A is on server A and file B is on server B? It'll work just fine. You can do this in file A and file B. In fact, that's the thing. If you have a really super fat, ugly solution and you could break the files apart on different, so like file 1 and 2 and 3 on file A or server A and files 3, 4, 5 on server B. I might do it that way, or I might set up a server, do some server replication, put an entire set on each server, and then users use either whichever server is closer to them that gets back into this enterprise, and then we use mirror sync to synchronize the data between the two servers, right? We did that in a 5-day live stream, which was really awesome. Okay, so, but yeah, you can definitely use multiple servers here, right? Because if you have, if the file's on server A, say we're on file A, we go File, Manage External Data Sources. And we're going to say, well, where's B at? Well, you'd have to go, like, so say I'm going to add a file off a host. I'm going to go to the stream server and I'm going to connect it to this one. Okay. So maybe that would normally be the file that we would connect to. It's going to attempt to connect to these in order. It's just going to do this one first, defines that, and if not, it's going to go here. This makes no sense to have them, both of these would be file B on both of them, if that makes sense. This is local. This is on a file on the network. That makes sense. So it's going to be either that's the top one or the bottom one. It wouldn't make sense to do both. Okay. And this can also be a variable in here. So you could set the variable to the destination B file. Okay. And you set that, and then you could use and then connect and use a relationship or call scripts or something like that. So you could dynamically program it where to go. That's a deep thought. I probably hurt people's heads with that one.
I will have to absorb that.
Yeah, so if you have two servers running, then each server is going to have some of its RAM cache and processing power diverted to assist you. Once again, I think breaking the multiple file solution across two servers, generally I wouldn't try to do that. For me, it's simpler if you have two identical data sets on two different servers and you use mirror sync to synchronize the data between the two. That way, yeah. That way, if one server goes down, you still have the other server running, and you can have a failover, that kind of thing. It's more of a big iron kind of big thing, but we did this on a live stream. It was probably it's like having a discovery with Monkey Bread. It was amazing watching, because we had a server in Mumbai, India. It was about a year and a half ago, it's about 2 or 3 years ago now. Mumbai, India. It was early in COVID when we did this with Jesse. Mumbai, India, France, the UK, East Coast United States, West Coast United States, Japan, and it would log you into the closest server. And then as you made data edits, about after 10 or 15 seconds, once you commit the data change, the one server that was replicating the data would grab the edits there and push them across to the other 5 servers. It's awesome. So that's Jesse Barham's MirrorSync product. So, all right. Well, hopefully, is this helpful, Jesse? I'm not picking on you. I know you're not mad, but I just want to make sure. I like it when the audience interacts with me and in a safe and safe for work way. And David Angel's been really good today. David, did I answer questions for you?
Hopefully he has another one that I don't know if we caught, so I'm just going to fling it at you since...
Fling a question at me. What's your question?
You can add the FM database and manage database external without a password.
Yes.
It will ask the password when added in the managed database relationship. The user account used to access file B will be opened in file B, ? And that counts as a user, ?
No. The user is the hardware. It's not going, okay, so here's the deal. At the end of the day, there's a function called, it knows the difference between you opening multiple files with different credentials, because it's not, when Claris says users, it's generally, okay, back up. This is a really good question. This is subtle in the weeds. We haven't talked about this one in a very long time. Get functions, get persistent. It should be.
Oh, you scrolled past P. There it is.
I spelled it wrong or something. Returns a text representing a unique identifier of the computer or device, so of the hardware that is running the FileMaker client, whatever that client is, WebDirect, Go Pro, whatever, it doesn't matter, okay? So that unique ID is essentially what constitutes a user. It's a unique identifier for the hardware. If you use more than one username and password as an account, David Angel, to get into a file, say like you have 5 different sets of username and passwords, right? Or you're on this computer, I'm logging on as Sally123. On this file, I'm Dick 43521 or something, and using different, those don't count as users. They're accounts that are set up in the security of a FileMaker file. They don't count as a separate user. Now, each user ideally should have their own unique username and password. That allows you to keep things separated, okay? But Claris is tracking this hidden persistent ID, and it's very much like this, right? Your persistent ID, and that's how it knows who you are, okay? So this computer right here, Richard Carl, this computer over here is a different, even though I'm using the same accounts, is a different persistent ID, right? Makes sense? So, and then my phone, different one, okay? So whenever Claris right now is regulating the users, they don't really regulate. They're counting the devices. They're counting the devices. And see, that was the part of the problem. Like I log on and I can log into 3 or 4 computers at one time, but I'm one user. So Claris can't really say, well, you bought a 5-pack, so only 5 devices can log in. They didn't do a device license. They did a user license. And so they have to find a way of tracking Richard Carlton specifically, and they haven't fully flushed that out yet with Claris ID, right? It's been an ongoing problem for a long time with them. So they would like to have strict compliance with licensing. I'm here, get present ID as an ID out of the hardware. Yeah, and that's essentially how they track who you are, of that, the number of users. So when you go back into the interface for the browser, which went away, I go back over here to Claris Administrative Console. I log into here. I go here, the number of people in here, it might have the identifier. That's just the name. That's lipstick on the pig. It's not using Richard Carlton. It's using the hidden identifier, right? So it's a hidden ID, but that's a hardware. It's based on hardware. So it's not that having additional accounts in accounts in the security dialog will not affect this at all. These are separate things. All right, cool. That's good. Good day. Hopefully people got value from this. It's a kind of a wandering conversation, but does that help?
No, I thought it was interesting. People said they learned interesting stuff.
Jesse says got value. That's what we need. We need a got milk campaign. It's like got value.
Did you see Canberra's question?
So if you logged in from different machines, you'd be listed multiple times. Yes. Yeah. That's the problem. I sent Claris a picture. My normal workstation in my home office, I have 2 or 3 computers sitting down, but I want to stand up because it's better for me health-wise and burning more calories, it's better, more muscles and things like that. So I have a standing desk. There's 2 computers on the standing desk. So I have 5, plus a laptop, 6 computers I could easily be logged into, and I'm just one user. So they don't want to charge me 6 times. It's Richard Carlton, and I realistically, if I'm busy, I can only really use 2 or 3 at one time. Now, if other people are coming and sitting down at my desk, like, one person standing up and 2 people sitting down, that's 3 people, that's cheating. All right, that's it, folks. We'll catch you tomorrow with Christian Schmidt, Monkey Bread Software, printing shenanigans with the plugin. So it's obviously advanced. Somehow it's advanced printing. I don't even know. We'll see. I'll learn something too. It'll be good.
Yep.